everybody, and welcome to the Right Fit podcast. We are trying to figure out what on earth influencers do all day. Joining me today is Sohan Verified Judge. She's the social media editor for Buzzfeed, based in Sydney, Australia, and I'm very happy to say somebody that I have a personal relationship with.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen you for ages. How are you?
I know, I'm really good.
Good.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm so awesome. So this podcast, Sohan, is all about the world of influencer marketing, social media, and this whole digital space that really has taken off and has no rules about it. So I wanted to get you on the podcast because in your new role at Buzzfeed as a social media editor, I figured you'd kind of maybe be able to answer some questions.
Yeah, probably.
So can we just backtrack? I think a lot of people who listen to this podcast are maybe thinking about getting into social media management, about maybe becoming brand managers in the digital space or becoming influencers. And I love the power of story. So can you just tell everybody, I guess, a little bit of your background and how you got into the offices at Buzzfeed? Because I know you were at Today FM before that and then uni before that.
Yeah. So I would say it all started back when I was
when I was a little girl.
Legit though. I was about 11 and I started at a community radio station.
Is it because you wanted to be on the radio?
No, it was just because I had a friend who did a radio show and I thought that sounds cool. And I remember requesting a song and then when I heard my name on the radio, I was like, that's so exciting.
Are we the same person?
Did that happen to you too?
100%.
Yeah, and I thought it was so
weird.
awesome.
And we kind of look similar.
Yeah. Oh my God, we might be the same person.
Oh, this is weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so you rock up into the community radio station.
I was really young. There was a group of us. It was super great. And then I was like, oh, so if I got paid for this, that would be a job. That would be cool. And I always wanted to be on air when I was younger. And then when I started the show grew, I had one co-host by the time, all throughout uni I did it.
Yeah.
Then when I started working at Today FM, that was in my second year of uni, so midway through my degree. It was just a casual job.
And what was your degree at uni?
Journalism.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't want to be a journalist ever though. It was just kind of the only thing that I could study. Yeah. So then...
That's really funny because I got into journalism at UTS.
I did a UTS too.
And then I was like... Nah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had that reaction.
Isn't that bad?
So many people dropped out in my cohort as well. Yeah, it's not for everyone.
And I didn't want to be a journalist really. I was like, I want to be in broadcast.
That was me as well. I was
funny.
I want to work in radio But
it's good to get a degree. I'm not anti-university at all.
Yeah.
Just for my personal journey, I wasn't sold enough on doing it for a couple of years of my life.
I think that's so fine because you don't really need it in the radio industry, I would say. The only reason why I did it is because
your parents made you?
Well, they didn't make me. They just kind of instilled the value of that in me. Yeah.
And it is one of those things, I think less and less now, but I think people who are probably closer to my age than yours, there's almost this prestige of... Yes, my child has a degree.
Yeah.
And it is, it's a bit of an honour thing. And I feel like when I decided, I just deferred. So I flat out was like, nah, not doing it. But I told my parents that I'd defer for a year.
Oh, yeah.
And then I've literally deferred until 2017.
Yeah, right.
I've deferred since. And it's never really been brought up. But there was almost that shame factor where it was oh, you're not going to do a degree. And I was like...
I think it's because it's just the course of life that everyone's meant to take, but that's not the case anymore.
There's no right.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
There
really.
just is.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so anyway, you're studying at UTS doing journalism, but not wanting to be a journalist.
Yeah, so it was great because the course taught you a bit of everything. It was print journalism, radio journalism, video journalism.
So you did learn a lot.
I learned a lot. It was an amazing experience, and then. But I always had my sights set on Today FM because I had listened to that station since I was really young. So I wanted to work there. And then I saw this casual job pop up. It wasn't technically for Today FM, but it was within the company Southern Cross Stereo for what was then called The Dirt. So now it's called Scoopla Entertainment Brand. And my job was just script writing for the TV slots on Channel 11.
That's a really big brand change, isn't it? From The Dirt to Scoopla.
Yeah, it was great. It was so much fun. So I did that for a year casually. And then my manager at the time left she had this amazing opportunity. So I got a full-time job when I graduated as a radio and TV producer, I think was my title, which was just producing for the Scoopla radio show and writing the TV scripts and doing all of that. But what was really interesting is that for the 2.5 years that I was in that role, it changed completely.
Yeah. The whole landscape changed.
Yeah.
Like you were really in the epicenter of, this is like a whole legit industry now.
Yeah.
And we didn't think that it was 3 months ago.
Exactly. I remember it started when I think one of the girls that edited the video episodes for The Dirt couldn't do it one day, and I was like, oh, I'll just do it because I had learned how to video edit at uni.
See?
Yeah.
Paid off.
It did. And then I would edit versions for the website because we had so many restrictions for TV. So I would do a longer cut for the website. Then I started to write articles for this website that we had. And then it just grew. My role changed from being a radio and TV producer to being a digital producer with a focus on video, just because I happened to have that skill.
And because you used your initiative and you were like, we could cut an online version of the same content and seed it out to a different audience, which is how everyone has to think now.
Pretty much.
But that for you was a really natural thing.
Yeah, I found that, I think I grew up in such a golden age because I was a 90s kid. So when I was earlier on in my childhood, I still got the play in the backyard kind of vibes. I wasn't just a full-on tech.
So you didn't have an iPad when you were 6?
No, I was climbing trees and stuff. But then I still grew up with the technology, so it comes very naturally to me. Yeah, which I think is super lucky.
I feel like you sound as if you're in this mini generation that they've just identified, which you're not because you're younger, but it's between Generation X and Generation Y. Yeah, and it's called a Zennial. Yeah, and it's people. I'm glad
we have a name.
Zen, but you're young. You're actually younger than that. So if you were born between 1978 and 1982, you're a Zennial. Right. And you were born in the 90s.
Yeah, 92.
So there's almost the Zennial is the predecessor for whatever we're calling your generation, which is between millennial and...
Yeah, I feel like I'm a bit older than a millennial.
Maybe you're just an old soul.
No, well, yeah, I don't know. My friends are younger than I am, so I do feel really old a lot of the time.
I love how this has turned into a therapy session.
Yeah. How old is my soul, Maz? Tell me.
Okay, so you sort of created your own role, I feel.
Yeah.
At Today FM.
I feel like I did.
Riding the wave. Mm-hmm. Just using your intuition, using your initiative and going, this feels right, and being proactive.
And it was great. I had a lot of people who were guiding me and facilitating that for me and allowing me to grow. And so it did change completely, and then it got to a point where I was kind of like, whoa, my role is so different to what I was hired for. And then I had a chat with my boss, and then there was this other opportunity, which was a new role, a completely new role that hadn't existed before in the Sydney market, which was digital content lead. Yeah. So then I got that role. I was in that for about a year, and I really realized that the digital space and social media is what comes so naturally to me. Even though for my whole life it's always been about radio, it was a very weird shift. Yeah. And then I felt like I wanted to grow more, and I Buzzfeed. Everyone knows what Buzzfeed is. I feel like if you're on the internet, you know what it is. And they're just leaders in that space. So
I feel like there are grandmas that are not on the internet that know what Buzzfeed is.
My grandma, yeah.
Your grandma's quite savvy.
She's pretty cool.
I have met her.
Yes, you have.
It's kind of odd, but
it's weird.
not in the context of how we met, but I have met your
grandmother. Yeah. So then I had my sights set on Buzzfeed. I knew I wanted to work for that company. I never thought that it would be possible. It's funny because I actually at the time I didn't really know like who these people were, but I went on LinkedIn and searched for like BuzzFeed Australia staff and like found a few staff members and just emailed them my resume to keep on file.
It worked.
It worked.
You
well,
wait now.
No, but it didn't actually work through that channel, which is so weird.
But you planted the seed.
Well, I don't know if they remembered me, but then when the social media editor job popped up, I applied for it and I got it through the like normal way of just applying for a job.
Right.
But then when I got announced in my role and everything, Simon replied to that email that I sent like months earlier.
Oh.
And was like, we got there in the end, like great to have you on board. And I was like, oh my God.
Which is an apology email for not passing on your resume to the right.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, damn it.
Yeah.
Now she's going to be in the building.
But it was really cool because
That is cool.
like I had completely forgotten that I had done that, and I didn't realize at the time who I was sending the emails to because it was just really hard to find like the people.
Yeah.
And turns out that he was
He's the guy.
yeah, he's the dude.
He's the dude.
He's the dude.
So your journey, I feel like you've kind of manifested it. You've kind of co-created your own story, which I find really interesting because I think traditionally people's careers, and I use the word career quite loosely because it can mean a lot of different things these days, but it's like you apply for a job, you get a job, you do the job. Do you think that people applying for jobs nowadays should just get their foot in the door as opposed to I specifically want to be in this role? Do you think that it's important for people to have a bit more of a loose idea going into something?
I think it's hard to say because it really depends on what kind of person you are and how you work. For me, I was always so like I had a goal and I wanted to get to that specific place, but I did what I had to do to get there in the sense that like I loosened up. I like had I can't speak. My first few jobs in the industry were not what I had initially wanted. Like I wanted to be on air.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to be a radio producer.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to get in that building because I think for me it was a lot of it was about the company. Like I really wanted to work for Today FM.
Yeah.
And I was really loyal to that brand. So I just wanted to get in that building.
Yeah.
And then once I did, I learnt so much, and then my goals and it all kind of shifted a little bit.
Yeah,
which I think is okay. I think looking back, I wouldn't change the way I approach things, and I think people should just do what feels right.
Go with your gut?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So what do you do all day?
So I'm social media editor, which means I just like manage all the social accounts, and then I analyze.
What does that even mean?
It means
like what do you actually do?
I schedule a lot of Facebook posts and videos and memes. I make memes. I sometimes edit little social videos.
So you basically do for a full-time job what most people do in their spare time.
Yeah, but not for my own social, for another brand.
For a different brand, but still.
Yeah, but then I also have to like analyze everything and report back about what's working and what's not and what we can do and what we can experiment with. So that's like another layer of social media, which I am really enjoying.
The analytics.
Yeah, and like numbers and data.
So you just get to nerd out.
Pretty much.
Are you a nerd?
Yes.
Okay.
Totally.
So that's your day-to-day.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think your personal social media footprint played a role in you getting your job at BuzzFeed and or Today FM?
I would say...
I've stumped her.
No, I'm trying to think. I would say for Today FM, I didn't really have like a huge social footprint when I was getting that job, but
it developed when you were there.
It did, and I think that it did help, but only in the sense that I had practice in like using social media.
Of course, yeah.
And also before Today FM, like I was managing the social accounts for my community radio show.
Right.
So
you're already doing it.
Yeah. So I would say like that experience really helped because I was using it myself, so I knew what to do.
Well, you were doing the job before you got the job.
Yeah.
Just for a different entity, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with social media management or social media editing, do you think you have to be on social media 24/7 around the clock for work and out of work, or do you definitely need a break from it?
I think a break is really important.
Do you give yourself a break from it?
Yeah. Like when I'm with my friends or like just hanging out at home. I mean, it's funny, like I kind of always just have Facebook open, but that's mostly because of the chat. Like I use it to chat, like it's a new MSN. So like it's just there. But yeah, I definitely give myself a break. Like when I'm at work, I'm on Facebook and Twitter all day because I'm on it for work. And so I see it. But then when I get home, I don't really, like I don't check Instagram when I'm at work that much. So like it just kind of shifts. I think a break is really important. Otherwise you just get sucked in.
Do you have a day offline? Like some people, I've definitely heard of like switch off Sunday or social media free Sunday. It's usually Sunday.
Yeah. I don't really do that. I kind of just have like a social media free 2 hours while I binge on Netflix.
Oh, right. So you're just consuming another thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Just replace one consumption with another consumption.
I don't
That's
know.
just what we do.
Yeah, I don't really like switch off consciously, but I think it happens naturally depending on like what I'm doing. Like if I'm at a concert or something, I do kind of go on Instagram and film some of it. But yeah, no, I don't.
Don't you film?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really switch off, no.
How does your family feel about what you do? Do they understand?
They do understand. Like I would say they understand about like 80% or 75%. I think I've had to explain to them, like they didn't even know what Buzzfeed was.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of explained, like I literally went and Googled.
They would have been like, is that a beehive, honey?
Yeah.
What are you doing over there?
And I think also like they always knew what Today FM was because it was a radio station, something that they listened to.
And it's tangible. Well, BuzzFeed is tangible in a way, but consumption-wise, you can listen to the radio and have a concept of what it is.
Yeah.
Whereas unless you're subscribing to BuzzFeed articles or they're popping up in your Facebook newsfeed, it is quite hard to explain what a publisher is.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But I managed to do it. Like I found out what like the official like description of BuzzFeed was from like Wikipedia or something. It's a cross-platform media company focused on sharing powered by emotions.
Oh, wow.
So that's what I had to explain. It's a lot of lists. But I did like sit down with my parents and just go, so you know how young people are always on the internet, right? This is like a newspaper, but on the internet.
That's
for
a good way to explain it to them. Because you've got to, I guess, the best way to try and explain something new is to associate it with something that's not new.
Yeah. But now like my mum was like looking up BuzzFeed articles the other day. So like she knows what it is. My grandma has like a good concept of what it is.
Cute.
I live with my mum and grandma. So yeah, I would say they know. And they know what social media is too.
Yeah.
My mum's on Twitter and Instagram. She doesn't really use it much. She's on Facebook too, but she doesn't have any friends. She just like likes pages and stuff. No, she doesn't like... I'm not friends with my mum on Facebook because she doesn't want any friends or anything.
What? Then why does she...
I've tried to explain to her that there's no point, but she likes Facebook pages and stuff for like for things that she likes.
Okay.
It makes sense if you're a mum, I guess. She doesn't have a photo or anything. It's a bit creepy. I told her she looks like a serial killer on there with no friends and no photo.
Yeah, that's a little... Because that's not the purpose of it.
No.
But I suppose if that works for her...
Yeah, well, she's getting everything that she needs out of it, so...
It's better than having one of those annoying mums on Facebook that... And this is not my mum that I'm throwing under the bus. I'm throwing under the bus somebody else's mum who will text her son and say, can you like my status on Facebook?
Bless. I do that with my friends.
Need more likes. Need more dopamine. So, okay, speaking of dopamine, what do you think, or what have you noticed trend-wise, the relationship between social media and mental health? So we touched on it a little earlier when I asked, do you give yourself a break from it?
Yeah.
But is a lot of your job fueled by got to get the likes, got to get the numbers up, got to get the web hits, got to get the analytics?
Well, I think for my job, like it's more just about reaching people. So we do have, goals and stuff like that. But I think the mental health thing comes when you're talking about your own personal social media, because it's yourself that you're putting out there.
Yeah.
So it can affect your mental health in that way.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting. Like, I was thinking about this the other day, and what I realized is that people get confused. I think they start to rely on social media for connection with other people, where in reality it should just be an extension of a connection you've made in real life.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it.
Yeah, it can't just be like social media is the only place that you talk and...
Well, I get creeped out by people who want to be my friend on Facebook who I've never met. So, and I know that works for a lot of people, but for me, I'm exactly what you just said. Facebook for me personally is an extension of my current network.
Yeah.
So if I've met you, then by all means, let's connect. But if we've never met and you're trying, that one throws me, because I'm like, I have nothing to say to you if we've never met. And it's like, I feel like it's a bit rude. Like, there's this expectation of, oh, why didn't you add me as a friend? I'm like, I don't even know who you are.
I think that's what Twitter's for. Like, if you want to follow someone that you don't know personally, go on Twitter.
Yeah.
Or even Instagram if that's on public.
True. Yeah, Facebook was designed for its network. It's actual, as you said, extension of connection that you have.
Yeah.
There are other social media platforms, absolutely, like Instagram, for example.
Yeah.
You follow people on Instagram because on Instagram.
Instagram.
You follow people on Instagram on Instagram because they put up cool stuff that you love.
Yeah, it's a visual experience over there.
Yeah, it's a different world.
Yeah.
Do you think that there needs to be like a social media etiquette section in our schooling system?
I think that would be a really good idea.
I don't mean this is how you use social media. I mean the etiquette behind why, like figuring out what digital footprint you want to have, because it's a reality and it's a part of life. And new parents are getting their kids' names on Instagram and holding them as part of, it's like, so you become pregnant, you have to announce, you've got to have a social media strategy for your pregnancy and your birth now. And you also have to bag the digital footprint of your future family.
Yes.
That's a thing. So there's an expectation that everyone in the world is going to have a digital footprint. It's like we've got to teach people how to have a good one.
Yeah.
And I think that is super important. I don't know at what age you start to have those conversations, but I feel like they should be rather young.
Yeah, because I remember the minimum age for MySpace was 14, but I was on it when I was 12. I just pretended I was 14. Well, I think so, 12 or 13.
You're so rebellious.
Yeah, oh my God. But everyone did it.
Yeah.
That was the thing. Everyone did it.
Interesting, isn't it? And I know there's age restrictions for Facebook still.
But you can just bypass it. You just change the year of birth. It's like too easy.
Yeah, kids have outsmarted it already.
Yeah, so I definitely think there needs to be something. And I think not only just etiquette, but also like in, late high school, like in the same way that in English you kind of analyze books, there should be something where you analyze the effect of it.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that would really help. I mean, I don't know if it's like super essential to be in the syllabus all across the country, because there are definitely people that don't use social media and it's not part of their day-to-day culture. But I think it's going in that way where it will become...
But I also think that at school you don't necessarily just learn the essential things that you need. You learn I learned so much stuff at school that I do not use in my day-to-day life. And I just think social media really will affect most people in the Western world, at least. And living in the Western world. So I don't know, like I said, I don't know how that looks, or I don't know if that's the government taking responsibility and going, hey, I definitely think we need to add this into the syllabus, and let's get a professional on board and a psychologist perhaps to work together to create like a module or two around it. Or if there's a really savvy brand out there and they did a brand sponsorship of a part of the syllabus. Oh my goodness me.
Wow, that's a great idea.
Can you imagine? That's
that's brilliant. I think you're onto something.
I feel though that's really also detrimental.
A bit ironic. Yeah.
And a bit ironic as
but
well.
if it makes it happen, if the brand, has good intentions.
Sure. So what's your long game? Have you got a long game?
Well, yeah. So I used to have my whole life planned out pretty much.
What did that plan look like?
So when I was in high school, it was like go to uni.
Study journalism. Don't become a journalist.
Go to AFTRS and do radio at AFTRS.
Okay, so that's the Australian Film, Television and Radio School, which is based at Moore Park, Fox Studios, for those of you who are unfamiliar.
Yeah, so I thought if I did that, I would pretty much definitely get a job in the radio industry, and then I would do that job. And then I remember thinking, this is like when I was 15, I was like, I'll get a job, I'll be on air, I'll do breakfast radio in Sydney, and then when I'm like 40 or 50, I will launch my own radio station called Soho FM.
Oh, wow.
That was my life.
You're a dreamer. You're a real dreamer. Soho FM.
Yeah, and it was going to be 102.7 because 27 is my lucky number. That's what I had decided. Yeah.
Soho.
That was my nickname in high school. It was on Soho FM was my year 12 jersey thingy.
That's amazing. That's such a cool plan.
It was a good plan. I'm sad it didn't work out, but
well, you're not 40 or 50 yet.
Yeah, well, who knows?
It could all swing back around. I think radio is the one medium that will never, ever die.
It's so true. It's really true. Like one thing that I've noticed about radio actually is that when I was working at Today FM, obviously the radio is playing all the time, so you've got that happening. But in the Buzzfeed offices, there's no radio.
It's just music. Slightly insane.
Well, it is such a different environment.
No
like I feel really disconnected from the world.
Yeah,
I feel like the radio really makes me feel connected to just everyone.
Because there's someone talking. There's
the news, traffic updates, like whatever. I just feel like even though I don't drive, I don't need to know the traffic. Exactly. Yeah. So I feel like a lot less connected to the world, and I love listening to the radio in the morning, like when I'm getting ready for work and stuff. So yeah, you're right. The radio is a medium that will never change. It's definitely getting extensions of itself, like in the internet space.
Well, it has to keep up and it has to evolve, absolutely. But I think I don't know what the figures are, but I feel like TV is, and there's, like Facebook's basically launching a direct competitor to the networks really soon. And so that just, again, is going to be another game changer. Whereas I feel like there's podcasts and that's a real thing. There's audiobooks and that's a real thing, but nothing competes with radio.
Because it's live.
It is just what it exists, how it exists, and you know what you're going to get. And so if you love that, you're going to listen to that. That's going to be your, your listening device of choice. Yeah. And the way that you consume information, even though you get all your information from the radio, you're still going to be checking your news feed. You're still going to be tweeting along, and there's so many ways that you can access that information now.
Exactly.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But back to your question, like I did have a long game. No,
we got distracted as usual.
But now what I've realized is that I don't have a long game because things change. My goals keep changing. Like I don't know where I'm going to be in 10 years. Yeah. But the only thing that I want to do is just make sure that whatever I'm doing, I'm just nurturing whatever it is that makes me happy.
Perfect.
Yeah. That's my long game, I guess.
So what's your advice to someone who's studying journalism at UTS listening to this, who doesn't really have more of a plan other than I just want to be an influencer or get into social media somehow and I'm good at it and so I want to make, I guess, a living out of it?
I would say start doing whatever it is that you want to do now. But on like your own, like
on your own terms?
Yeah. So say if you want to be an influencer, just start influencing, like be an influencer. You might not be getting paid for it yet, but just do it.
Yeah. So do.
Yeah, just do it. Don't wait
yeah.
for someone to come and be like, oh, here it is. Here is your job in your life. Just like do it yourself.
Because that ain't gonna
It's not going to happen. Yeah.
It's really not going to happen.
Yeah.
Do you think it's weird that 10 years ago Buzzfeed didn't exist?
Yeah.
And now you work there?
Yeah. And I think it's so cool as well.
And so does that excite you about the future that you will probably have a job that doesn't exist right now?
Yeah.
So you can't really dream it up?
Exactly. That's kind of what I feel like. Things change, the landscape's changing, so I don't have like a 10-year plan. I'm just kind of going with it and then I'll just keep doing whatever I like and what I enjoy.
What's the next platform you think's going to take off socially, digitally?
I reckon podcasting is like, yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Are you just saying that because we're on a podcast?
No, but like literally because everyone was talking about podcasts. I remember maybe like 5 months ago, everyone's like, oh, podcast. Like, have you listened to this podcast? And I was on the bus and some like lady was sitting opposite me with her headphones on. And I don't know, I automatically assumed that everyone on public transport is listening to music because that's what I do. Like, I don't know. But then she would just randomly start laughing. And I'm like,
that's not an Ed Sheeran song.
no. And then I thought, oh, she must be listening to a podcast because that's a new thing now. And then one of my good friends was telling me about this podcast she listened to and how she learned about all this stuff. And I was like, wow, maybe I should get into podcasts. And then I started looking up ones of just whatever topics interested me. Yeah. And then I started listening to it. I was like, this is great. Like, it's just you're learning about something for free. Yeah. Wherever you are.
It's a whole world.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been a thing in the US for a little while now. And down here in Australia,
it takes a while.
It filters down eventually. I mean, when I was growing up, I remember there'd be like a blockbuster come out in the US and 6 months later it would get to Australia. Yeah. It's like they had to send the one tape via a ship, you know? Whereas now I feel like we're definitely hot on the heels. But podcasts, I think, took off a few years ago in the States and it's filtering down here now, which is really exciting. Yeah. And I do think that it's a whole world. And again, it's like, so now people have jobs making podcasts, aka what we're doing right now. Yeah. And that didn't exist. And that was something that I couldn't fathom even probably 3 years ago for me. Because I think I started listening to podcasts maybe 2 years ago. Yeah, right. Maximum 2 years ago. I was like, what is this podcast thing on my phone that's been on my phone for ages?
You put it in like the junk folder because you don't know what to do with it.
That folder on my phone is called Apple Crap.
Oh, mine's just called junk.
Yeah, right.
But I did move podcasts out of it. Like,
oh, good.
Yeah, because I'm like, I kind of need this accessible
It's
now.
next to the watch icon that you put in there if you don't have an Apple Watch. Like, I don't need that stupid icon.
Yeah.
So podcasts are definitely a thing. You definitely can't fathom what you might be doing in a few years' time.
Yeah.
What is the best piece of advice you've been given by anyone?
Ooh.
I feel like it's going to be from your mum.
It's from my boyfriend, actually.
Oh.
I mean, my mom gives me a lot of amazing advice, so I can't discredit her. But I just won't forget, like, one time, it was like probably early on in my career, and I had my emails on my phone, like from work, and they were just going off constantly. Yeah. And I was like watching a movie with my boyfriend, and he's like, dude, you need to turn your emails off, like right now.
Did he call you dude?
No, I don't remember. I don't remember. He does we call each other dude, it's fine. But yeah, he just kind of was a little bit like, why do you have your emails on? Like, just deal with it when you get to work tomorrow. You don't need to deal with it at like 9 p.m.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay. And then I turned them off and it's great. I just don't have my emails on notifications. Like, they're there if I want to check them, but I don't have it on notifications. Also, he told me to do the same thing with like Instagram notifications and Facebook notifications.
I think it's really important, and that I call it putting healthy boundaries down.
Yeah.
Around, there's this sort of expectation that we will see everything that everyone puts up on social media. Yeah. For example, a few weeks ago, I was at the gym and one of the girls came in and one of the other girls was like, oh, happy birthday. And I was like, oh, I didn't know it was your birthday. Happy birthday. I'm like, what did you get? And she's like, oh, you didn't see the post? I'm like, nope. I didn't see the post. Do you want to have a conversation? And then she told me what her husband had bought her, and it was really cool. But there was this almost like I felt bad. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't see your birthday gift. But there's this expectation that we will just consume what everyone's blasting out on social media. And I've really unsubscribed from a lot. And I put down these healthy boundaries, and I try, like you just said, to not have the notifications interrupt my chill time with my relationship, or if I'm out to dinner with a friend, or if I'm recording a podcast with somebody. Like this is important that we have this moment here and that it's not interrupted. So that's really good advice. He's a smart guy. You should keep him around.
That's the plan.
How does he cope with your role?
Oh, he's really happy for me.
Is he super supportive?
He's
and
really
he just
great.
Wants you to be happy, right?
Yeah, he's amazing. He's so supportive of me all the time, and really genuinely supportive and happy for me too. Yeah.
Do you think how important is having real relationships over heaps of followers on Instagram?
Oh, totally. Like so much better. If you don't have Instagram followers, but you've got really good relationships with people, like you'd just be so much more fulfilled.
Yeah.
And if you've got 50 million Instagram followers and like no friends, you're just going to be glued to your phone and like waiting.
I reckon I could name a few.
It's just like, I don't know, that would be really lonely.
Yeah.
I'd be really lonely.
It's interesting how there's some data that came out the other day that talked about how there's an epidemic of loneliness. It's actually, it's like on par with the obesity epidemic.
Right.
It's actually been labelled an epidemic that more people than ever and I have to say in the Western world because we are so privileged and we live in the top 1%. Even if you feel like you're having a bad day, if you're listening to a podcast on a device, you're in the top 1 to 2% of the world in wealthiness. But this epidemic of loneliness is taking over the Western world. And I find that ironic because we're so connected, aren't we?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like social media isn't the connection, it's the extension of the connection. Well, that's what it should be.
That's what it should be.
Yeah.
And how social is it if you're it's not an actual physical interaction. It's just a picture or a video or a thing that you can't interact with, you just consume. And I don't find that social.
I think that it can be really powerful in some ways, like you can meet people through social media and then make those connections in real life. Which I think is
like Tinder.
Yeah, I guess. But you know, I've met so many. Well, not really. Like I've come across a lot of people on Instagram who I then see in real life, and then I'll go up and like introduce myself and like make a connection with them. Or we might be like Instagram friends, like never met them. This happened to me like a few weeks ago. Someone who we follow each other on Instagram.
Do you know how you ended up following this person on Instagram?
Yeah, so she's a videographer and I do a bit of video as well. So we had like followed each other, like probably because females doing video, like there's not many of us in Sydney.
Yeah.
And so we were following each other on Instagram, just following each other's work. And then she came up to me and was like, hey, are you Sohan? And I didn't know what she looked like because she didn't put any photos up of herself. It was just her work.
Wow.
And she's like, oh, I'm blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know what you looked like. And she's like, yeah, I don't do that. But it was really great because now I see her around every now and then and we have chats and I feel like we've made that connection in real life. And
That's
Instagram
enhanced.
allowed for that to happen. Yeah.
And that even just purely from a work perspective, just to have somebody in the same ring.
Yeah.
Who's a chick, who's doing the same, like stick together.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like build each other up, help each other up. That's what I say.
Yeah, totally.
I made a bit of a joke at the top of the podcast saying that your name was Sohan Verified.
Yeah.
Judge. Your middle name isn't verified.
No, but I did tweet that the other day.
Was getting verified on Twitter one of the greatest days of your life?
It was pretty cool. I just, I don't know. I feel like I was kind of expecting it because I had applied for it because I think there's this thing like if you work at Buzzfeed, like everyone that works at Buzzfeed or who publishes work
gets verified.
Pretty much gets verified. So I had applied for it and I was just like waiting like every day. I'd be like, I wonder when it'll happen. But
at blue tick.
It's so interesting. Like I'm noticing so much difference in the way that people interact with me on Twitter now. Like
Are they more professional?
No, I'm just getting so much more. I feel like more people are listening to me. Normally I would just tweet like random stuff and like get no interaction. I didn't care. Like I was just kind of doing it for whatever.
For funsies.
But now I get like so many more people are just kind of interacting with me, replying to me.
Isn't that interesting?
And I feel like I'm taken a little bit more seriously. Like my voice matters a little bit more. Not actually, but it just feels like there's definitely a change.
That's an interesting observation.
Yeah, there's definitely a change.
Have you had more followers on Twitter since you've been verified?
Yeah, I've been getting like regularly a lot more.
Wow.
Like Jenna Marbles followed me back. I followed her years ago because I watch her YouTube videos and she followed me back.
She probably just waits for people that follow her to get verified.
Yeah.
And then she's like, now I can have a conversation with you.
I reckon she was just sitting on my profile and refreshing it because she's a big fan of me.
Sohan, get verified so we can chat or just reply each other.
But I find it so weird because I don't think that the blue tick actually means like that you're more valuable as a Twitter account. There are so many like great people on Twitter that don't have a blue tick that are so valuable.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really actually mean anything, but I think it just
does though.
But it changes the way.
It's perception.
Yeah. I mean, you're kind of right because it does make a difference, especially in the journalism world.
Yeah.
Like with, you know, what do they call it? Citizen journalism.
Right.
When people just reckon they're journalists and start tweeting facts. I'm doing air quotes, like facts.
Air quotes don't work on a podcast.
Yeah, I know. So when you've got the blue tick, it's like you're accountable for what you're tweeting and, you know.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I think I find it an interesting one because as much as we're like, man, it's not really a big deal. I remember when I worked on the National Drive show at the Hit Network, as a team, we did an application to be verified.
Yeah.
And we all got our verifications. And I'm pretty sure we went out and celebrated. Like,
Yeah.
it felt like a really,
Yeah.
like this cool, it's like, you know, when you're at school and you get your pen license.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like, I got my pen license for social media.
Yeah.
I felt like my tweets didn't change. I don't think my followers went up that much.
Yeah.
But it felt like this I'm legit
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Now
Like,
you're
got
legit,
that kind
yeah.
of approval thing. And I guess maybe it's just another way that we seek out approval where it's like, I got a blue tick.
Yeah.
Show us your blue tick kind of thing. But
And
I did love your tweet. It was cute. I was like, she's excited. So
I was excited. Yeah, I can't lie.
Yeah.
I was waiting for it.
You were
So-
hanging out.
Yeah.
You and Jenna Marbles just refresh all day.
Yeah.
Sohan, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you. This has been so fun.
I'm really excited to see where you will end up in a few years' time because I
knows?
believe that it doesn't exist today.
Yeah.
So that's slightly terrifying, but also really exciting.
Yeah.
And so where can people follow you on all of the socials if they just fell in love with you and they want to know more?
So I'm just like at Sohan Judge on everything.
On everything.
Yeah.
Even LinkedIn.
Yeah. Think
Sure.
so.
I'm
yeah.
not on LinkedIn. That was the one I was like, I can't do this.
I think we were told to get it in uni, so
See, university.
yeah.
That degree's really paid off.
Well, they also told me to get Twitter and we had to tweet 3 times an hour.
3 times an hour? As part of university.
It wasn't like you have to do this or you're going to fail, but like our lecturer said, tweet 3 times an hour, get on Twitter, do it.
3 times an hour every hour.
Yeah. But obviously like no one actually did it that much, but that goal I think set the kind of you should be on it like tweeting.
That is just
Yeah.
such a bludge.
Yeah. We didn't just sit there in a tute for 3 hours tweeting 3 times an hour, but yeah, it just kind of got everyone on that platform and yeah.
Well, there's a good tip. If you guys are enjoying this podcast, we are enjoying making it. So you can rate, review and subscribe on iTunes and we'll catch you next time. See ya.
Cool.
Done.
That was fun.
You're great.